Welcome to the Kirk and Company. I'm Jeff Kirk. We're going to just jump right into it today because today is a heavy topic. I have a wonderful, awesome guest today, but today is a heavy topic, so there is lots of content to go over. But I'll give you a quick little brief background. I was at church this last week, and it was an awesome service. And at the end of church, a friend of ours, Gloria and I, came over, and she had shared some potential news of a very large caliber pastor that may be caught up in some type of a scandal. And today's episode has nothing to do with what that scandal is or who this is or speculation of any sort. But it got me to think, as I've put a lot of stock into a particular pastor, and, you know, if they are caught up with some kind of evilness that is not very God-fearing at all, does that change our lens as humans as we put different people on pedestals, including pastors? So our topic of discussion today is not man-fearing, but God-fearing. And my very special company today is the one, the only, Kathy Kirk Perry. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on board. And you know what? I don't know why I just hyphenated Kirk in there. I guess old habits die hard. I apologize for that.
My.
It's been a long time since you are Kirk Perry, but either way, I just threw it in there. So give my apologies to Mike. Kathy Perry. Hi, Mom. How are you?
I am great. Nervous, but great. Thank you. Thank
So-
you for honoring me and asking me to come on.
Absolutely. I will say this. So Mom is telestreaming in all the way from hot Sacramento, California. And with all the wildfires going on in Northern California, she is having some technical challenges in Sacramento, whether that's cell towers or Wi-Fi or just overall AT&T challenges. So we're working through it. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're saying our prayers that, Mom, you're coming in nice and neat in 4K vision for the viewers at home. So Mom, why don't you give us a little introduction about yourself, if you don't mind?
Alrighty. I was born in San Bruno, near San Francisco, and my mom didn't work till I was 13. And my dad was an ice cream maker and worked in the candy shop also, and eventually became a supervisor and all that kind of thing. And my dad was a really hard worker, so I got my work ethic through him. Was very connected with him emotionally. My mom was a perfectionist to the 100th%. And her main focus was cooking, cleaning, baking, and sewing. And there wasn't much of an emotional connection with her till later in her life, where we really had a real bonding, which was wonderful. And so I was a very independent sort of person once I became a late teenager. So I moved out when I was 19, got my first apartment, and wouldn't you know, within a year, I got thyroid cancer and ended up moving home because I had so many hospital bills and whatnot. And then was planning my very first vacation a year later, and I, wouldn't you know, I had to have another surgery.
Wow.
For cancer. Turned out it was not cancer, it was just thyroiditis, and so they just removed the whole thyroid. And it just made an impact in my life. It changed my life. So there's some drama included in that with my parents and whatnot. My mom had a more serious case of thyroid cancer, as well as someone else, a cousin, had a real serious case of thyroid cancer. And then it went on into the rest of the family also. So it did impact my life. I married your dad, Jeff, in 1972, and we quickly moved up to Twin Heart and bought our very first house because we could afford it, whereas we couldn't afford it in the Bay Area. And we had a great life for 10 years. And then a couple years prior to that, many years before that, I became a Christian. I was really hard set on not becoming a Christian. And when I was 27, someone came to my door, which we knew neighborhood we were in, and she was a pastor's wife in the backyard. She lived right in back of us, and she shared a little bit about the Lord and asked me to come visit her every now and then. So she shared the Lord with me, and eventually within a month, I decided to give my life to the Lord. That's really amazing.
Wow.
And it was a very special time in my life. I was 27, and I got involved in a lot of serious Bible studies at that time for the many years that we were up there. So for about 10 years, I was in Bible studies all the time.
Wow.
Really got to know the Bible, and my faith really deepened. So when I was a Christian for 5 years, we adopted you, and it's an amazing story. Woohoo! You changed our life. The Lord changed our life, and one of the things you wanted me to share is that when I was dating your dad, I said I didn't want a child of my own.
How dare you, Mom?
Well, wouldn't have had you if I didn't do that. So I just didn't want to spread the thyroid cancer to a child. It was just really important to me. It just ran through our family. And even though I didn't have to have chemo or radiation, I just didn't want to do that. I was dead set against it. Mm-hmm. And my sister was having so many children. At that time, there was a lot of children that needed homes. So my husband and I, your dad, Marty, we decided on a toddler or a preschooler because those children needed the homes the most. And wouldn't you know that after our study was done, home study, they said, okay, we'll see you in 3 to 5 years. That's how long it takes to wait.
Wow. So, were you guys a little heartbroken with that comment?
6 months.
Were you a little heartbroken with the 3 to 5 year comment?
No, because we were told, we knew. And so in 6 months or 6 weeks later, I can't remember, it was so short. Got the call saying, would you like a Caucasian newborn baby? It's like, I didn't ask your dad. I was like, yes.
Insert Jeff Kirk.
I just felt it was a God thing.
Yeah.
And so the social worker says, well, we'll get right back to you. And then the social worker said, well, the mom has to pick out from several couples, pick out the right couple. And so she picked out Marty and I for you. It was such a God thing.
Yeah.
So
do you know how many couples in total were in the running for yours truly?
I was told it was 3, but you could check with Patty, your biological mom. Mm-hmm. I just felt like God inserted you into my arms because he knew I was strong enough to handle you, because you were a very strong-willed child. You had ADHD, and you needed a lot of boundaries and a lot of love. And you got a lot of unconditional love from me, and plus the boundaries. So.
And
for your mom.
I still need very strong boundaries. Just you could just pick up the phone and you and Gloria can talk war stories over me, because I'm sure you guys would appreciate it. You guys could start your own therapy session together.
Oh yeah, really. I can always provide encouragement for her.
Yeah, well, God bless you, Mom. That was an awesome thing to do. And it's so common in today's society, is mother and husband, wife and husband want to have their own biological children to keep on that bloodline and whatnot. And the fact that you were willing to go and adopt, and that is very selfless of you. And I'm extremely grateful for your sacrifice, and also very grateful for Patty's sacrifice as well. So thank you.
We've always been thankful for Patty. So
yeah,
or I have been.
Yeah, she's great.
That's my story.
It's a great story, Mom, and I'm blessed by you. I'm blessed by Mike. I was blessed by my dad in certain ways, which we'll talk about here shortly. But in regards to kind of a little bit more recent here, you have since remarried my wonderful stepdad, Mike, who's probably sitting right next to you. And you and Mike are involved in a particular ministry at your church. Why don't you tell us about that?
It's called Celebrate Recovery, and it's an amazing ministry. It helps people in so many different ways to be able to change their lives for the better. And it adds connection. You know, people are connected to each other, they're not lonely, and they're able to support one another so they can grow and change. So it's amazing. I was in it for 13 years, and then I needed to step out, and then God just opened this door, and this little girl needed my help, and so I was tutoring her for a couple of years. So, you know how God does that. So it's kind of an amazing thing, and I had just really enjoyed tremendously the Celebrate Recovery. I had my own group of codependency and women's issues for 11 years, and the women were just so loving and connected. Our group was always had unconditional love, and we were very bonded. I mean, people would come and go, but our group always was very special. And Celebrate Recovery provides a lot of help for a lot of people, and it has all different kinds of reasons that you want to go. And some people have a really difficult time in deciding that they need to go and dealing with their issues. But I can share with you whenever you want what the kind of issues that you might bring to CR.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, I mean, obviously everyone's first line of logic is codependency on alcohol or drugs, but there's plethora of other, types of, recovery help that one can glean from this program.
Okay. So mine was anger. I had a friend that hers was rage. Hers just went into rage, but mine really never had gone into rage. But I always worked on it. Always helped me with my anger, and that was something that I worked on at all times. And so the other things we listed, Michael and I listed today, is just they were tired of the insanity of their life, going around in circles, making the same ridiculous poor choices, and this program helped them make better choices for their life, whatever it was. It didn't have to be about addictions and whatever. A lot of it can just be about relationships and making really poor choices for so many different ways. But let's see, making connections with others and making a connection with God. It really helps you with that also, besides bringing to the table your other addictions. So for addictions, we have not only the alcohol and drugs, but also the sexual addictions. There's a group for that also. So I don't know if people ever think about that. But there's so many different reasons that people come, but really they just want to change their life. And they're tired of doing things the same way over and over. So.
No, that's great. It's a great ministry. And if any one of you are interested in that, I will link that below in the description box for you to click on. And if you want to just reach out to me or Kathy directly, well, you can reach out to me and I could get you connected with Mom and Mike in the near future. But great program. First step is admitting you do have something that you do need to recover from, right? Some form of an addiction one way or another. And then from there, just the blessings that come with being able to share and be with like-minded people, I'm sure is very liberating to people that feel like they're being bonded and, held hostage to this addiction.
One of the things I learned is God and I am not. And that was really helpful to me. That's just a statement that I still use today. It's like, I am not God. I am not in charge.
That's right.
Of that, it's like, I'm not going to do his business. He needs to do it. I need to do what I can do. But he is still God.
That's right.
And no one is going to be over God.
That's right.
I'm not going to put anybody in place of God. So, and I'm not going to try to be God. And a lot of times we try to be God in our lives.
Yeah. And how much more challenging?
Statement.
How much more challenging is life when you try to play God, right? It just never works out. And I say this often. I've said it on the podcast. I am not CEO of the universe, and I'm so grateful that I am not. So, yeah. Great ministry. Like I said, I will link it below. And if you wanted to talk offline, by all means, direct message me, and I'd be happy to talk with you offline. So, Mom, I pulled you into a really big topic today. I hope you're prepared for this action.
I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, and for the viewers at home, that's all of you. The reason why my mom is on this particular podcast is because this information that I had learned just on Sunday, just a whopping 3 days ago, really hit me hard, and I was very sick to my stomach when I heard the news. And I pray that it's not true. But you know what? At the end of the day, the truth will set us free, and I hope that the truth does get discovered. And at the end of the day, it made me take a step back and recalibrate how much stock or what kind of a pedestal I put individuals on. So, there's lots of people in my life that I've put in pedestals in times past, and that I just recently had on pedestals. And not that those people shouldn't be admired. We're not saying that. We're simply stating there is only one being that should be on a pedestal, and that's God. And everything else, we're all equals. We're all human. We all sin and will fall short of the glory of God. And that's how we need to look at people. And, kind of in the pre-show, Mom, you were saying admiring people's fine, but exalting people and putting them in a higher regard than yourself, that is not what we are to do. Right. So, one person in particular, as a kid growing up, who I truly admired, and I will be honest, I did very much put him on a pedestal, and I talked about this in many podcasts ago, was Jerry Rice, the wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. And just an awesome athlete, well-respected on and off the field. He'd score a touchdown. He didn't do anything boisterous or outlandish to draw attention to himself. In the press conference, it was very much, it was a team effort, good defense, good protection for the quarterback, great quarterback, yada, yada. And I just really, lightweight, probably idolized Jerry Rice in my life. And, that's never good. Colossians 3:5, put to death, therefore, whatever earthly is in you. Sexual immorality, impurity, passion, evil desires, covetousness, which is idolatry. And in a way, I did covet Jerry Rice. I coveted who he was as a person, the fame, how awesome he was. Like, I really put Jerry Rice on this very large pedestal. And, obviously that ship has sailed many moons ago. But, I look back after, putting this particular pastor on a pedestal, and it helped me refocus as I was going through this particular challenge. And my mom, God bless you, you were there to help me kind of pick up the pieces Sunday afternoon. And I had called you, and I had shared the news that I heard. And again, praying that it's not true. We're not here to speculate or share names. But it did help me refocus on where my eyes should be. And Mom, you talked me off the edge. If you can share a little bit about that.
Well, I know I was praying as I was speaking, and I know that the Holy Spirit was speaking through me. So I have really strong faith. I've had it for many, many years through many experiences, and the experience of going through a divorce with your dad and having my family support him instead of me because of the alcoholism. It was just the alcoholism being rampant in the family. It just was heartbreaking, but God was there for me, and he helped me pick up the pieces and made me stronger. And I had one time in my bedroom where I felt like God reached down to me, and I promised him that I would help other women, help other women through this, if he could help me, I would really help them in their times of trouble. If he could help me and learn, I wanted to learn to be a better wife and learn to be a better person and have a stronger faith. And that's what he did. He just helped me grow tremendously. And the other time of growing faith was during your court process, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
That was frightening. And we didn't understand why it was taking so long, but God knew. And I know exactly why it took so long. It took that long, a year and a half, because he wanted you to mature. He wanted you to grow up and stay away from the people that you were hanging out with. He wanted you to grow in your faith. And that helped me grow. I mean, when it all came to pass within a week, it all changed. It was miraculous how it changed.
Mm-hmm.
How, this district attorney got demoted and all this kind of thing happened. So it was just faith building. And
Mm-hmm.
those kind of events in my life, that helps me with situations like this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you told me about that, I just, listen, humans are fallible.
Mm-hmm.
And really, Satan is just there to attack pastors
Mm-hmm.
more than anything.
Right.
And that's what my pastors have always said, that Satan's just hanging around, waiting for pastors to fail.
To have a moment of
they're
weakness.
human.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
They're just human, Jeff. And you fail. I fail.
Every day.
The only one that doesn't sin is God.
Right.
And so if you look at them and idolize them and put them on a pedestal, this is where you're going to be, Jeff. You're going to be down and discouraged.
Yep.
But they don't belong. They don't belong up where God is. So I think I just supported you and tried to encourage you that, listen, if you idolize people, put them on a pedestal, this is going to happen. But the Lord wants us to have our focus completely on Him, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And we can admire pastors.
Right.
But we cannot idolize them. And for me, when I look at a church, when I look at a pastor, I want to see, is he giving out Bible scriptures that make sense with his sermon?
Mm-hmm.
Is he promoting that? Is he speaking about the Lord? Or is he speaking about, sports and his family and a bunch of nonsense that
Right.
that's not why I go to church. I go to church to learn about the Lord, to have teachings. And so that's my discernment, that the Lord gives me, the Holy Spirit gives me discernment about these pastors. So was there red flags? Was there something you weren't paying attention to? It's up to us to really pay attention when we go to church.
That's right.
And there is a church that I stopped going to because of those reasons. The word wasn't being spoken enough, hardly at all. And nonsense was being spoken. And that's not why I go to church. So I stopped going. And the Lord gives me that in my heart, that he gives me discernment, and that's wisdom from the Lord. And he expects me to act on it.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. And that discernment comes from your relationship with the Lord and the Holy Spirit talking through you.
Absolutely.
I was
Absolutely.
I was just in Chicago a couple weeks back on a business trip, and Dana was telling me about this pastor at a mega church, and he kind of got wrapped up into a scandal himself, and she said it was really hard for her to look at the church again, and it was tough for me to really kind of understand where she was coming from until I then got thrown into the same situation. And I remember her in the moment, and I'm telling her we're all human. We're all faulty. We are all sinners. Like, there is no one that is without sin other than Christ. And for whatever reason, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I just had a tough time looking through those bricks to have my eyes on Christ. And, it was because of you, Mom. And you, Gloria helped too. You both pulled me out of the pit I was in, but it was challenging to be in that particular situation. Yeah.
I have to say that I have heard of other pastors for various different reasons having to step down, and I'm always sad for them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel sad for their family. I'm sad for them. I'm sad for the ministry, for the people that they've let down, for the people that they've led astray. And I pray for them. And I pray for the ministry, I pray for the people that have been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I go with that. I go to the Lord and I pray about it. And I'm sad. But that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
I'm not devastated because my heart is not in them. My heart is to the Lord. It's given to the Lord.
Right. Psalms 118, 8 through 10. It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. All nations surrounding me, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. And the only reason why I added that last verse in there, obviously 8 and 9 fits our mantra today, but all nations that surround me, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. And I want that to be a confident message to all God-fearing people listening to this, that when your trust and faith and eyes are on Christ, the Lord's got your back, and you need not worry about it. And it may not be today, and it may not be tomorrow, but it will happen. And Christ is not in the business of losing. And I kind of say that tongue in cheek, but God's already won. And if we have our trust and faith and eyesight on Him, we will not lose. We are on the right team, and we just need to make sure that we understand that. So, Mom, given what we just shared here today, is there anyone that you have put on a pedestal in times past?
Yes. So I wanted to say just the one scripture that came to mind was the Ten Commandments. You must not have any other God but me. Mm-hmm. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind of image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or on the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods.
Yeah.
So I liked that one. I thought of that immediately.
Mm-hmm.
When you asked me to be on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a great verse.
Okay. So yes, the only person I can say I've ever had as an idol was my dad. And I had such a connection with him. My dad was so jovial, and he was a joker, and everybody loved my dad. So social. My mom was just the opposite. And she was. All the neighbors, everybody loved my dad. So I just put him on a pedestal because I had such a connection with him and loved him to death. But I tell you, when he became such a horrible alcoholic, when I was about 16 and started talking about his girlfriend to my mom, just being vicious with what he said.
Yikes.
I remember being on the stairwell with them arguing, and him just saying horrible things to my mother, just the most vicious things. And I shouldn't have heard it as a teenager. My sister had already left the house and was pregnant. And I didn't want to hear stuff like that from my dad. It was just horrendous. And then he was I don't think he was having blackouts, but he was having these headaches in his eye from the burgundy. He was drinking so much. And just being stupid drunk.
Yeah.
And, what teenager wants to see their dad like that?
No.
So I just lost respect for my dad, and it was just disgusting.
Yeah.
So yeah, my dad fell off the pedestal. I still always felt connected to my dad, even when he was verbally abusive, as you know, when he got older.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I don't know why, I always had this connection with him. But as it is, he fell off the pedestal, and that's the only person I ever allowed up there. So
Wow.
there you go.
I have to imagine as a young daughter sitting around hearing your dad drunk talking about another woman that isn't your mom must have been pretty heart-wrenching.
It was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And frightening for me that they were going to get divorced, because they talked about divorce.
Yeah.
Just frightening.
And they never did.
My sister wasn't there, and no, they stayed married all those years, 50 some odd years.
Wow. Long.
Very unhappily. But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were married.
That's tough. Well, I guess at a very young age, you learned not to put your faith and trust in man, and unfortunately, it happened while you were a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the overarching message is not to put faith in man, woman, pastor, girlfriend, husband, human being from this planet other than Christ. Our eyes need to be focused on him and him alone. John 13:34-35. A new commandment I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. You must love one another. By this, everyone will know you are disciples if you love one another. And I just wanted to end like that. With the mindset of, there's so much negativity in the world today, what we're hearing in Afghanistan and the demonic things that are occurring all over this planet. Like, at the end of the day, if you are a God-fearing person, you need to be a light in a very dark world. And our job is not to hide. Our job is to speak truth. And that's why I pray that, whatever happens with this particular pastor, the truth does get sought out, and this truth will set us all free. But ultimately, our faith is in God, and we are to be good, God-fearing lights of the world and love one another. And Mom, I love you.
And I love you too, Jeff. And so thankful to have been here today.
Yeah. Happy you were able to come on board.
A wonderful son.
Oh, tell me more.
And don't listen, audience, about what he says about me as a child. You know what? He had a great childhood. He had friends over all the time.
I did have a great childhood. I don't disagree one bit. So
I was a great mother, and we laughed and had great times.
All compliments to you, Mom.
Didn't we, Jeff?
Yes. She did not pay me to say that either. No, great childhood, lots of friends, and you're a great mom. And even the times where you gave me tough love that I did allude to on the podcast, you were still a great mom in those moments. Now, in the moment, I didn't appreciate the tough love, but many years later, I now appreciate the tough love. So
that tough love in your teenage years was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Don't want to revisit it ever again.
Oh, I can't imagine. I remember how excruciating painful it was for me, and here it is. You have to not only be loving and tough at the same breath, but you have to do it to this 6'2" man in your life who just eats you out of house and home. I can't imagine what an animal I was. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me, Mom.
If it wasn't for the Lord, he taught me about unconditional love and how to love you and be thankful for you. So you changed my life, Jeff, because you were always happy and a person that joked around a lot, and you made me a happier person. So Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mom. And thank you for choosing me and adopting. What an awesome ministry that is in its own right, to adopt.
It's a wonderful ministry. And God did it for me, so we can thank God.
Yes, amen to that.
I'm blessed.
I am blessed too. Well, thank you so much, Mom. Any final parting words for our viewing audience?
No, just be encouraged about pastors. Just don't look down on them. You can look up to them as far as admiring them and as far as being respectful, but just don't idolize them. and just honor them with your presence in church, and be thankful to them and grateful to them, because they don't get enough thanks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Amen
need
to that.
do that.
Yeah, and you're right. The enemy is just lurking at every corner, waiting for a pastor to get weak and to slip up, because they know how influential they are. And so we need to ultimately keep our pastors in prayer at all hours of the day, because they are always
prayer,
being
definitely.
attacked, for sure. Yeah.
In prayer, and we need to reach out to them and be more thankful.
Yeah. Good word. Well, thanks, Mom, for coming on. I really appreciate you. She's Kathy Perry. I'm Jeff Kirk, and we out.